Hello, welcome to a new video of Dynasty War, and today we're going to talk about enhancing skill or not. And we're not just going to talk about Zhuge because we talk about him already. This is the enhancing skill strategist version. So we're going to talk about the strategist. So on the first row, the fourth character is Zhuge, and then if you go to the second row, the other four is actually all together. We have Pang Tong, and then we have Sima Yi, and then we have Zhou Yu, and then we have Guo Jia as our final strategists. So I've talked about all of them individually and what they're good for and whatnot. So I'm gonna compare them in this episode and see maybe which one is better, which one is easier to use, and how am I gonna rank them in terms of how easy or how good they are and how viable they are. Okay, so right here I have the basics attribute of each of these hero, and before I did this I actually didn't know some of these things. HP, Zhou Yu actually has the highest HP out of the 5 strategists, and I don't really know why, but he just does have a significant amount more than the other one. He has about 130 more HP than the second highest. However, Sima Yi has only 30 extra HP compared to the third highest. And Pang Tong and Zhuge Liang basically have the same amount of HP. And then Guo Jia has like 50 HP less than Zhuge Liang and Pang Tong for whatever reason. So I don't know why, but yeah, Zhou Yu has the highest HP in here. In terms of DPS, Zhuge Liang has the highest DPS and Sima Yi has the lowest DPS, which is another thing that really confuses me. I don't know why Sima Yi has the lowest DPS. But again, it doesn't really matter because most of the times that you're using Sima Yi, he is probably using his own skill, which lasts for 18 seconds. So you can take that and multiply by 3. That's his actual DPS. Again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Zhou Yu, Pang Tong, and Guo Jia has a difference of basically 1 DPS. They do the same damage, basically. The other thing also interesting is the movement speed. Why did Zhuge Liang and Sima Yi has 2.1 and Pang Tong and Guo Jia has 2.6? I think the reason why Pang Tong and Guo Jia has 2.6 is because they both can freeze. So they might want to walk faster, go up there and start freezing the enemy. But why does Zhou Yu have a movement speed of 2.4? I don't really know. I can't actually even think of a reason to explain that. I mean, Zhuge Liang is easy because walk slower, more time to charge your rage, your skill. Sima, as a strategist, you don't really want to walk in front of your troops, right? So that might be the other reason. And then the skill type, which is Zhuge Liang is passive, Pang Tong is passive, Zhou Yu is passive, Sima Yi and Guo Jia is active. So the other thing is, why did both Wei strategists have an active skill? Is it because usually they are represented in a more evil and bad guy person people? I mean, that's how usually most games are, right? Wei is always the bad guy, so they are like more evil. Maybe that's why you have to time their skill actively and in the right time to take the most benefit of them. I don't know. And the other thing is, Zhou Yu is not the only Wu strategist. I mean, in this game, in this game, 7-star Zhou Yu is the only strategist. Obviously, there are other strategists from Wu in this game, but they're not 7-star. So maybe they can make another passive or even active 7-star strategist from Wu, then it could be kind of like the balance between whatever. Okay. But it's obviously the passive skill is pretty strong and they're given to the Shu strategist. So let's take a look at the cooldown. Obviously, Sima Yi and Guo Jia is not going to have any cooldown. It's active skill. Zhuge Liang has 12, Pang Tong has 15, Zhou Yu has 10 when you maximize the awakening skill. Before that it's 15, so it's pretty slow. Now the skill effects, what do they actually do? Zhuge Liang has high damage, we all know that. Pang Tong has some damage plus freezing, okay, plus the eyes falling, 8 seconds. And Sima Yi obviously give buff. Zhou Yu has high area damage. It's a big area of effect. It also is a pretty high damage as well, but potentially it could create more destruction than Zhuge Liang. I mean, I talk about that in the Zhou Yu video. I kind of compare them. and Guoja has high damage and freeze for 10 seconds at max. I mean, all of these I talk about all of these heroes individually. Sima Yi is the most recent one because I love Sima Yi. I've been talking about him over a year. The other ones are Pang Tong and Zhou Yu. I said I really want them back. I want to try them out, and I do. Guoja is a little bit earlier. I said that he was basically garbage once you awaken him, and I still agree he is garbage. Zhuge Liang is one of the earlier heroes that I talk about upping his skill, and you don't really need to, in my opinion. I think I did that video before the hero seal even come out, so that's a while ago. But let's take a look at the awakening skill. Awakening skill, Zhuge Liang give him the ability to regenerate. So that's a very one of the more OP skill, and it's still very strong. Okay, Pang Tong give him slowness. He can slow the enemy in the effect, which make him even better. If not, he would kind of suck just like how Guoja will. But giving the ability to slow makes him a much better defender. Sima Yi gives the range. Not really that useful early on, but as you start to use Sima Yi other than Alliance Dungeon, you see that the range is going to give his buff to more troops. Zhou Yu is reducing cooldown, which is probably the strongest awakening skill that you can ever get, at least for a passive hero. And freeze, after you die, it's useless. Okay. Here I said hero type, so what I really mean is what are they really good for. So Zhuge Liang is really hybrid. Okay, both offensive and defensive. It's good. Alliance Dungeon is not really ideal for him for many reasons, and I'll talk about that. Pang Tong is really good for defense and Alliance Dungeon. I think that's very obvious. He can't really attack. Not enough damage. Not cooldown is too long. Pretty bad. Sima Yi good for offense. Obviously, you can't defend with him. It's a passive. It's not a passive skill. Alliance Dungeon is a must. You just get so much more damage output from him. Zhou Yu again another hybrid. Offense defense is good. Dungeon Alliance Dungeon might be arguable. And Guoja is just for offense, and it's only up to a certain point. Other than that, it's really bad. I mean, yes, you can argue you want to use a Guoja for Alliance Dungeon, which I do in both of my accounts. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with Guoja. One of my account has a Awaken Sima Yi and then just a regular Guoja. The other account has a Awakening Guoja and a basic Sima Yi. I really want a Pang Tong to do Alliance Dungeon. Guoja is just really bad. Being able to choose when to freeze is a good time. It's a good thing for only a while. After that, you want to have the ability to freeze again and again and again. So why Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu is bad for just not bad but not the best for Alliance Dungeon? Because yes, they do have pretty short cooldown, they do damage, but yeah, they do a lot of damage usually, but once you're in Alliance Dungeon, any damage is little damage, and they don't really bring anything to the table to make the battle easier or quicker or anything. So they're not really that good. They're not bad, but they're just not good. The damage listed here is the damage that come from each attack of the skill. So Zhuge Liang does 1145, Pang Tong 796, which is a very low number. Sima Yi obviously does not do damage in his skill. Zhou Yu is 1276 and Guoja is 1504. All of these are you can multiply to find the total damage. I believe both Pang Tong and Guoja is they have area damage effect. I am not sure if they do, that's better. Obviously, they can do multiple damage with one ice, but if not, then they're pretty bad. But obviously, Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu has area damage, meaning one lightning strike or one fireball can do damage to multiple target. Meaning you can easily multiply this by not just 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on how many targets it hit, and that's the total damage dealt by their skill. So as strategists, what are their tools? What tools do they need to succeed? In this case, the treasure that they need is the 7-star lamp. And do they really need this lamp to be successful as a strategist? Let's see. Obviously, HP is always good. 25% HP. They're all fan heroes, so they all get 25. their HP basically stays the same, like relative to each other. Obviously, Zhou still has the highest HP, Guoja has the least. DPS 25%. Again, Zhuge Liang is going to have the highest, Sima Yi has the lowest, but it's okay because he can buff himself. Attack speed, you can go up to 36%. That's pretty good. All of them, they wanted. Fan Hero has a base of 1 second per attack. So if you get at 35% increase to it, it becomes 0.74 second per attack. So it's 0.26 seconds faster. And that's pretty good for auto attacking, but none of them really depend on auto attacking except Sima Yi. Well, I'll talk about that. The 10-second rage before the battle obviously does not help Sima Yi nor Guoja because they're not passive skill. Zhou Yu can immediately use his skill because he can reduce it to 10 seconds. Zhuge Liang will need 2 seconds, Pang Tong will need 5 seconds. Now, 0 second is very strong, but what that also means is you don't have to have the perfect treasure. A 9-second or 8-second treasure will also be as good for Zhou Yu because then he will just need to take 1 or 2 seconds, just like how Zhuge Liang will be. So that just make the requirement much lower. That's another benefit of Zhou Yu. Not everyone's gonna have the 10-second cooldown reduction in the first when you deploy them. So Zhou Yu has this benefit. Now the other thing is, how does the treasure actually affect the skill? This is the healing. So that's 6% of the total health. So if you have the 25% extra HP for your Zhuge Liang, well, his skill is going to heal more because you have more HP, and 6% will equivalent to be more HP and heal more. I mean, in total, it's still 30% of his HP each time that he uses skill. That's great. But what is this 2,228? That is the actual DPS of Sima Yi during the skill. So in my Sima Yi video, I talk about you can just kind of multiply the DPS by 3 to get an approximate of the effect after the 15 out of 15. So if you just take the 500 right here and multiply 3, you get 1500, close to 1600. So how come it's 2200? Well, you account for the 25% DPS and the 36% attack speed, then you get this crazy DPS. Which leads to the next thing is the lifesteal, the regeneration per auto attack hit, 16%. So 356 is just 16% of this. What that means is each time Sima Yi hit during this time, he can recover 300 something HP. That's close to 7 to 8% of his original HP. Now, if you watched last week's video about Machinist and Lady, I talk about them recovering like 2 to 3% HP each time they hit. So this is a lot of HP, and that means they can survive longer when battling, which makes me think I actually want to try this. I never thought that this will recover this much. It might be useful. Obviously, without that, the other heroes will only recover about 100 HP per attack. But again, this is a buff given to anyone nearby. So if you use like these heroes with Sima Yi, you can do that. I mean, if you use Zhuge Liang, Pang Tong, Sima Yi, and Zhou Yu together, they could recover like crazy amount of HP. Let's say you're facing like a Zhang Fei or crazy Zhu Zhu, they have a lot of HP, and all 4 of these heroes have high attack damage, have high attack speed, just spam on them and just recover health. You can do that. In fact, all of the other heroes will have a higher DPS than Sima Yi. That means they will recover even more HP. Now, one thing you can keep in mind is, let's say if you're attacking crazy Zhu Zhu, which reflects 50% of the HP, of the damage to you. Now, if you're going to recover 16% from your own damage, actually you're only taking 34% of the damage. So in that case, crazy Zhu Zhu will be reflecting 34 damage. That's a significant difference. You might be able to keep yourself alive in that case. So I never thought about that. I might have to try somehow to figure this out. Is it gonna work? But the other thing that we need is the hero seal. Hero seal, let's talk about Sima Yi first because there's nothing that you need to put on him. I mean, there are some that you can still get some benefit, but none of them are really important. The only important thing to not do on Sima Yi is give him the hero seal with the command attribute. The command attribute gives you damage buff to nearby allies, and it doesn't work with Sima Yi's buff. I tried that before, you can try it now, maybe they changed it. The worst thing is that it doesn't work. The worst thing is that the command attribute will actually take over his own damage. So instead of having 100%, you are going to have at most 30% damage. So don't do it on Sima Yi. You are going to waste Sima Yi so bad. The next thing is Guoja. Guoja have one thing that that he can take advantage of really is the damage, 30% damage. He does have 15. He starts with 1500, so getting another 450 might be helpful. But again, who uses Guoja anyways? It's really bad. And I mean, you can put other stuff on him, but don't do it. The next thing, let's not even go in any particular order. Let's start with Pang Tong. Actually, kind of surprisingly, Pang Tong can go up to 1000 damage with the 30% increase in the skill. He started with 790 something, close to 800. So getting another 30% brings him up to 1000. So every 15 seconds, he can release 1000 damage eyes on an enemy. It's kind of decent too, and you can also get the getting 10 seconds of rage when your health gets below 20%. Pretty useful because then, I mean, he has a 15 seconds, so any extra second will be beneficial to him because he probably need it. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu, obviously the damage helps him out. He does start with pretty high damage as well, 1200, goes up to 1600. And I said in here less than 10 seconds. The rage actually you don't need the 10 seconds. You actually need less than that, because it's a rare situation where he will need the whole 10 seconds. It will look like this. He uses skill, launch the 5 fireballs, and then immediately get his HP less than 20%, and then regain the 10 extra second and launch his fireball again. I mean, if that's the case, anything in front of him pretty much dies already. The hero in front of him is going to take around 2,000 to 3,000 damage. But you don't need the 10 second. Most of the times when he's getting hit, he probably are going to have 1 or 2 seconds in his pocket already. So, well, what that means is the requirement is not as high as I've said about his treasure. The requirement for Zhou Yu is not as high when he only needs 10 seconds. So the next thing is obviously Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang, he can take advantage of the damage, which raises his lightning strike to 1400 each strikes, or you can use a 10-second rage, and he only needs 12 seconds. So most of the times, once you give him the 10 seconds, he will be able to use his skill immediately. Or you can give him the regenerate, which increase 30%, which makes 298 go up to 388. Obviously, that depends on his base own HP. And how can you simply calculate this? Because without the 30 extra percent, he will recover 30%. Okay, because it's 6% each strike, and 5 strike will be 30%. The way to calculate this amount is just take 30% multiplied by 1.3, and you get 39%. So after the 5 strikes, he will recover 39% of his own HP. Significant amount. It's close to 10%. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is how I actually rank these strategists. Do they have any sort of order, or which one is better, and how do I take a look at them, and when would I suggest using which one? And right here I listed 3 stages. Okay, early stage is probably like around level 80, below level 80, when you only have like 1 or 2 7-star and they're not awakened yet. And in that case, Zhuge Liang obviously is the best choice, because at that point he can destroy a base by himself. And then the next one will be Guoja, because the base that you're attacking has low HP. Buildings has lower HP, base is smaller, Purgatory Tower is only level 1, so maybe you're like headquarter 9. At level 10 skill, 10 out of 10, Guoja can one hit KO and Purgatory Tower. I mean, he can also freeze it if it doesn't. Relatively, his skill is relatively have a bigger range, so he's going to be able to destroy most of the base by his skill and do enough damage in doing so. Now Zhou Yu at that point, he's not awakened, so he needs 15-second cooldown, which is not the best. And however, the good thing is the base that you're attacking should be relatively small, and he has pretty much the highest, one of the higher damage output. I think he has 1000 at that point, so he will be able to destroy most of the stuff in his way as well. Now Sima, in that case, why isn't he that great? Because he can only go up to 75% damage and 39% attack speed. And the other thing is, you don't have strong troops to go with him. Your troops are not strong enough to take advantage of this. I mean, obviously, the buildings you're attacking, the things you're attacking, have low HP, but to get the most benefit out of him, you want the best troops ever. Now, Pang Tong in this case should be very bad in the beginning, because he does not do enough damage. He does not freeze long enough. He needs 15-second cooldown. And in a small battle, meaning like a small base, a shorter battle, he's not going to use his skill many times before he dies or the battle finishes. So that's why. Now middle game would probably be like 80, level 80 to level 90. You have like at least 4 7 star. Maybe you have one or two of them awaken. And at that point, we'll start at the end, the very last. Guoja will be completely useless because he just does not do enough of anything. Not enough damage, not enough freeze. It's just really bad. Zhou becomes better because you awaken him. He starts to have a lower cooldown, and he does enough damage as well. The base are still relatively small, so you can use him in a pretty good situation. However, it's gonna start getting difficult because as the base get bigger, he will start to attack like random stuff and then waste most of the fireball off the side. And then Sima you starts to pop off because now you awaken him. You can get him up to 100% extra damage and 53% attack speed. Awakening skill, you might not have it yet, but you're gonna at least have one. So the bigger the range is, you can use better troops, use more troops in it, and your troops starts to get stronger as well. Now Pang Tong in this case, in this situation, is actually pretty strong because you're awakening him. He gets this slowness with his skill, good for defense, actually good for offense too, because the things you're attacking, they may not have as much HP yet, they may not have as much damage, so they don't kill your Pang Tong immediately. And the hero or on defense, the heroes and the stuff that they attack you, it's really bad against Pang Tong because they'd have no way to get away from the freeze or the slowness. And in that case, Pang Tong is still pretty good because he can defend. You can still use him on offense, but the most thing is he can really defend pretty well. And number one is still Zhuge Liang, with the ability to recover, regenerate health. That's even better. There is really no competition. He can do pretty good damage and regenerate as well. But once you get into the late game is not the end game. Okay, the end game is you pay for it. Okay, like 120 and you're paying to be the top. That's the end game. Late game is maybe around 100 level and above to 110. I don't know, whatever. Obviously, Guozhang will never go anywhere, so he's gonna be at the last. Now, Pang Tong in this case is bad. Why is he bad? Here's the reason. In this situation, in this level of gameplay, you see a lot of lady or machinist. Machinist card will lure out Pang Tong and waste his skill, or any other troops. You have so much more choices and variety. Pang Tong doesn't freeze enough already. And he has a short range, so even lady can freeze him before he frees her. Because even if you hit Pang Tong, he has to come out and use his skill. And at this point of the game, he's not gonna stand. He's not gonna be able to stand against any high damage incoming to him on defense. And on offense, he just doesn't do enough damage. Again, doesn't freeze enough time, and the buildings have more HP and more damage. He gets killed so much easier, so he is not gonna work on offense. Now, why does Zhuge Liang drop 2 spot into number 3? It's arguable that you can put him on number 2 and switch place with Zhou Yu, but I will say Zhuge Liang right now, he doesn't do enough damage. He needs to at least do 2 or 3 strikes on buildings to destroy them. He's not as good. However, he is still a very good hero because he is more safe, more guaranteed, and sometimes it's even luck based. I would argue more luck based than Zhou Yu because this happened to me multiple times. Zhuge Liang they just put the Zhuge Liang on the outside of the base, and somehow he can use his skill and lure my hero, which is in the inside center of the base, and lure him out and kill him, which is ridiculous because if that happens, your Zhuge Liang obviously worth everything. But again, depends on luck. And this happened to me once. They put down a Zhuge Liang, clear out the stuff, and then the next time he used his skill, he hit my Zhao Yun. My Zhao Yun obviously will immediately throw his spear. However, just before that, he put down Lady with the 10-second, so it only took 2 seconds for Lady to shoot my Zhao Yun. That ended his life already. Well, ended his first life. But he loses his skill, and then he loses his first life, recover the HP, and he's frozen for 6 seconds. And basically they finish him off without my Zhou Yun ever did anything. That's over 5,000 damage by Zhuge Liang, which is crazy. I mean, if that's what happened to you, you're unlucky. If that's what you're trying to do, you have to be very lucky. But he's a more guaranteed hero, so I don't think he worth really at a higher position. Now Zhou Yu being at I put him in the second position because right now you probably have a perfected Zhou Yu, a 5 out of 5, 10-second cooldown. Obviously, you might say, oh, it kind of depend on luck as well for him to use his skill correctly. But no, I mean yes, but there is so much more other stuff you can do with Zhou at this stage. With the 10-second cooldown, now when I attack, I actually am more afraid than a Zhou than a Zhuge because of the damage of the way that he attacked. Because he could target onto your front line, but his fireball might surpass them and hit the healer or alchemist at the back, which you're trying to protect, which is insane. The troops just walking by and his fireball can hit them and do the 1200 damage. This is the case where Zhou has more potential. It's a more of a gambit, right? You're trying to see, okay, am I going to be targeted by the lightning strike that will guarantee hit my troops? Because if you put archers, Zhuge Liang would just hit all the archers. But Zhou is not. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna hit this person. Whatever is behind it is gonna suffer as well. And Sima being number one because right now you have the range, you have the damage, you have strong troops to go along with it. It's so much better, and more people will start using it. And people are telling me that a lot of people use Sima Yi right now in the championship, in the world championship. I'm pretty sure a lot of people use Zhuge Liang as well, but I don't really watch those. It's good because obviously it gives you so much more damage, especially when defense have so much HP. The only way to overcome it is to have more damage, and the only way to do it, well, not the only way, the best way to do it is using Sima Yi. And honestly, that's all you need. It's pretty good already. But right now, I mean, I'm gonna rank them like this. You can let me know how you guys rank them or differently at different stages of the game. Unfortunately, I only have Sima Yi and Guo Jia. I would like to have Peng Tong for dungeon, and maybe Zhou Yu for fun. And I don't really want Zhuge Liang, but I will still try to get Zhuge Liang to get my Sima Yi's HP partnership. Unfortunately, that's what I have to do, and I probably have to waste like 30 regen order to get him. So let's hope that I will be better luck. But this is it for this video. Let me know what you think about these heroes, and if you agree or not, and do you have like a favorite hero in here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.